guys, welcome to second episode of secondary ignition waveform testing. You guys had a great response on my first video. I'm very pleased, and many of you suggested it to use a Picoscope to a let me turn this fan on. To use a Picoscope to compare the to see what kind of waveform we're going to get from the Picoscope. So as I said in my first video, different scopes are going to give you a different, I mean, it's going to be the ignition waveform, but it's just for some reason scopes are, the signals are not, they just don't read the signals the same. So with my Picoscope, this is not automotive Picoscope, as you guys know. This is like this is one of my 2204 Picoscope, and the 2-channel. And I was really struggling to get a secondary ignition waveform. The primary was pretty easy, nice and beautiful waveform, but the secondary was a little tough to do. And but finally I got it that we can use it. So I have the same setup as the last time, and I'm gonna leave the link in the description to my part 1 video. So we're gonna have again up on my bank 2. We're gonna have we have 3 spark plugs. The first one on cylinder number 2, it's my good one. On cylinder number 4 is a spark plug with a bigger gap, and on 4 is a spark plug with a smaller gap. And then we're gonna and at the end I'm gonna put the spark plugs back in, and then we're gonna mess up. We're gonna try to make a lean and rich condition the fuel, and to see how that's gonna reflect on our ignition waveform. One of the something I want to show you guys. I got a great question from a Tom O'Connor, I believe. Yes, his name is Tom O'Connor, and he asked, just thinking, would the primary current be higher due to increased resistance in the secondary? Great question. So anyway, the current is actually in ignition changes all the time, due to not only because of the potential problems, resistance in the primary or secondary, it changes due to the load. During the increase the load, we're going to need more power, so we're going to need higher voltage. So the current has to be higher due to a higher demand. So I'm going to, with my Varus, I'm going to have, since I have this is a 2-channel LED scope on my Pico, I cannot have a 3rd channel with my current, but I'm gonna show that on my Varus. The great question. I mean, honestly, actually, you're gonna see a lot of difference in a current between these 3 cylinders. I'm very glad that you, Tom, asked that question. Again, the setup is pretty much the same, and I'm gonna also show you something on this is non-automotive Picoscope. The problem with this one, you cannot invert the channel. And there's the one over there, I didn't get his name. He suggested you basically just can flip the leads to flip your channel upside down. But I have to do something different. So anyway, here's my coils again. I got my adapters in. I put my pins already in, so I can do it a little faster. Hopefully this time. The last video was like an hour long. And so this is my Picoscope, the channel A, the blue channel. I have my attenuator 20-to-1. This is a Huntec one, and it's complete junk. It works, but you can see, guys, I actually had to bend this because it was losing the contact here. It was driving me nuts. So finally I figured out it was. So I had to bend this a little bit, and it's working so far. But it's just not. It does what it's supposed to, but I don't know. It's losing for some reason losing the contact here. So this is the channel, the my blue channel. This is going to be this yellow lead. Basically, the ground lead is going to be connected to the ground, and the positive lead is going to be hooked up to a control wire, so we can get primary ignition waveform. And on my secondary, I'm using my snap-on inductive clamp, and again, I was really having a hard time to get a good signal. I used this one from couldn't do it at all. This one actually is gonna output on this clamp could be up, believed, to 20 or 30 volts, and you have to use attenuator to use this clamp. But the snap-on inductive clamp it goes up to like 3 or 4 volts actually, so it's pretty safe. I don't have attenuator at all. I don't need it. I still have my Venge here, and on my Picoscope, basically I'm having now I got my attenuator here. Just gonna move this a little bit. Plus times 20 attenuators. This is what I'm gonna use, and I'm going up to 400 volts. And on the channel 2, I'm just actually 2 volts. That's all I need. And this is 2 milliseconds per division. So on my Varus, I'm just going to have my current clamp, and I'm going to briefly just put it around each of the wire on our coil to see our current. And so that's about it. So we can start and look at some waveforms and see what we can learn from it. Other thing, I do apologize. My camera and I just totally sucks when it comes to. And the last video was horrible when it comes to clarity of the picture every time. I mean, it's a good camera, but as soon as I focus the camera onto my computers, anytime there's a light, it just really sucks. And of course, the light in the garage is not the best. And so we're gonna look our waveforms here. From time to time, I'm just gonna bring my Vantage Pro like this, so we can see the firing KV. Basically, that's it. So and also I want to one more thing also with the current. Of course, the current is going to change every time the valve changes. So that valve is actually the time that computer energizes the coils, keeps the coils on. So that's affect the current as well. So now we're going to go from one cylinder to another, and you're also going to see the valve and the firing and the burn time, and to see what we can how we can figure out, you know, what the problem is. So again, the car is going to stumble like crazy, but that's fine. Let me get it started. Okay, so here's my primary waveform. I like it. Looks pretty nice. Now my secondary, it's actually down at the bottom, but it's upside down. See that? This is my secondary. It's a nice waveform as well, but it's inverted. So automotive Picoscope, I think that has an option here. You can just click it and flip your waveform. Non-automotive Picoscopes, you don't have that option. So what we can do, of course, you can switch your leads, positive and negative, but what I noticed when I did that, actually my voltage input was a lot higher. It was shooting over 20 volts. So I was afraid I can damage my scope of the computer. So other thing we can do, we can go to, so this is only for non-automotive Picoscopes. So you can go to Tools and a Math channel, and there's an option to invert our channels. So I'm going to go to channel B, click OK. So now I have a channel here that's inverted, but now everything's kind of crowded here. So what I can do, I can move this channel up, my inverted channel. I can move that up a little bit, like this, and then my channel B, I'm just going to pull it all the way down, just out of picture. So here we go. We got both waveforms here, and as we can see, this is our develop time, and it's 2.3 milliseconds, and our burn time is 1.1 milliseconds. So this is the normal cylinder number 2. No problems on this one. So let's, I'm going to rev it up a little bit just to see how this works. Okay, so let's go to cylinder number 4, one that has a longer, bigger gap on the spark plug. Okay. There you go. And not much of a difference at all. We can see maybe a little bit downslope here at the end of the firing event, but I forgot to write down my dwell time. The dwell time is actually longer, and the reason it is longer because of the high resistance in a circuit. It needs more voltage. To get more voltage, you need more current, and to get more current, you need a longer dwell time. So this is what the computer is doing right now. So let me just go back real quick to number 1. Just to I can't remember what was my dwell time. It's I don't have a secondary because I'm on the 4 now on this one. So we are at 2.4 milliseconds. Okay. The needles are backing out. See, for some reason I do not have a signal anymore from my let's see. There we go. It's my struggling to get my primary for some reason. I cannot. Here you go. It's my stupid attenuator again. I hate this stupid thing. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. So let's go back to the good one. So no. So this is the number 2, the good cylinder, primary and secondary, and we are at 2.4. Milliseconds on the dwell, and on the and burn time is 1.2. Okay, now let's go to number 2. Okay, burn time seems like it's the same, 1.2. It's right on the cursors are, but significant difference on the dwell time, and that is because a high resistance in the circuit, it needs more voltage to jump the gap, and now we are at 2.8 milliseconds from 2.4, and seems like it's the same. The burn time. And this is the okay, let's stop this. Let's go back and just to see. This is the good. This is good. We had a couple good captures. This is where we're losing the spark. Again, this is a tough one. I mean, you know, this is not an easy, but definitely we can see actually now, actually in the primary and the secondary actually picked up the better signal than the primary, for sure. Maybe I need to change my, well, I'm at 8, yeah. And let's see a couple more. This as well. This is a good one here. So this is a misfiring event. So this is a losing the spark on the higher gap. And in these things, I mean, again, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. I mean, to read all these different waveforms. But this is a good one for sure, with a longer gap. And I think that's about it. Okay, let's go to number 3, one that has a smaller gap, very short gap. And this is the one that's, you know, it's messed up big time, and we can see that our dwell right there, it's a very short, and it's only 0.9 milliseconds. Basically, there is no need for, you know, there's a very low resistance in the circuit, and what to say, the highest resistance in the ignition circuit is supposed to be the spark plug gap. So if when that changes, it changes the voltage scale as well. So now we can see this is the really good capture. Let me okay, and we can see there's not a lot of oscillation here vertically, but horizontally there's quite a bit of it's interesting that the burn time is pretty much the same, looks like, but it's a lot of noise in now this is also what I was talking the other time. This is how long the burn time is now. So there's no, when the firing kV goes down, the burn times increases. When a firing kV decreases, the burn time increases. When firing kV decreases, burn time increases. This is a very nice picture here, actually. Here. Again. And that's okay. So that's it. Now let me. The next one I want to show you guys real quick is a current ramp, and that's very interesting. Where I'm just going to focus you now to a Varus, and just going to go from one cylinder to another, and we'll see the difference in current. So I'm going to do the good one first, the cylinder number 2. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to refresh it so we can get, actually maximum is 12.5 amps, maybe 11. So I'm going to rev it up now so you guys can see actually how that actually changes. It will change the, this is what the dwell time is right now. This is how long the computer is energizing the our coil, and this is what we've seen on our waveform, ignition waveform. There was that line in front of the firing kV. That was the dwell timer. So that's what that is. So I'm just gonna. You can see there was a slight difference, slight increase in, but there's a 14.8 amps of current. So that's a great question from Tom. So now we could see that every time we increase the load, in the current's gonna change. And okay, so let's go to a number 4, one that has a longer spark plug gap, where our resistance is going to be higher, it's going to demanding for the voltage is going to be higher, therefore a current is going to be higher. So now on this one, the let's just go back, I think it's about 12. Let me just go refresh it again. 11, that's 12, 14. Actually the fans are kicked in, so now it's but it's around 14. I'm happy with that. So let's go to number 2. And let's see, letter 15. Problem was the fans messed me up. Let me go. I'm gonna go to number 6, one that has smaller. And actually, you can see here's even on the. This is actually very interesting. I'm glad I had this. We can see now where. This little spike down here, that actually it can be a clue, and this is some oscillations here, this can be a clue. Let's go back to good one. Yeah, the good one has it as well. Never mind. My fault. See, I'm still learning, guys. Okay, so let's go to one that has a very small resistance, and let me see. There we go. I need to lower my and there we go. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna refresh it, so we got only 5 amps of current, and again the reason is the computer is lowering the current on the coil because of very low resistance. It doesn't need that much voltage to jump the gap on the spark plug. And so okay, I think that's all I want to. Let me do something real quick. Actually, I'm gonna stop. I don't know if I can okay guys, I'm back. I think this is a very I'm glad I got to what I did. I pulled my fuse for injectors and the feeds injectors and the coils, ignition coils. These humps on the bottom, that's my current on my fuel injectors, and see these higher amperage waveforms. These are from my coils, and let me just stop this, and we can see this is the one from this is the cylinder name. I'm not gonna sync. I don't have time to do that, but I'm gonna shut the car off real quick. I'm a little concerned. I mean, I've been messing with this car too long with this misfire. I'm afraid I can damage the catalytic converters. So, but this is a good capture here. So this is a very low current. This is where we have that low resistance, and that's our cylinder number 6. This is where our spark plug gap is very small, and where our resistance is very low. And this is one that has a higher gap. Bigger gap where the resistance is higher, therefore needs a more current, more voltage to jump the gap. I really like this, and these are other 4 cylinders. So it's pretty cool. And I don't know if you guys, I can go with my Vantage. Just to look at the again our let's do that real quick. We're just gonna look at the firing kV. So basically looking at the demand for each coil, and then I'm gonna put my spark plugs back in a car, in an engine, and then we'll do the same thing we did last time with a bit of fuel. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my my clamp over the each coil, and we'll see what our power kV is. So let's go to a good one. And waiting around, there's a lot of hash because there's so much misfire, but around 16, 17 kV. So let's go to one that has a higher gap. We can see that around 20. And this one is actually what we see on a current in here. Okay, one that has a highest current. And I'm just gonna move it real quick to one with just do a number 6 that has a small gap. And we see that power kV is very, very low, around 5, and that's what okay, and that's our guy here. Okay, and one more thing before I put the spark plugs back in, I want to show you how to do basically how to test the coils. I missed it last time. That's kind of actually cool. Do like stress test on the coil. Basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the a boot off the spark plug and put the higher gap, and that's going to actually give a maximum voltage to the coil, and then we can actually see what's the and also that not only confirm that you have a good coil, but also get the circuitry inside the coil. The circuitry, the power and ground are okay. So let's just pull this, and now we can see that we're at 46, close to 50 kV. That's the maximum what this coil can do. Let's do it to this one. Actually, I need to put my clamp. So let's do this one. Again, this is 94.6 or 50 kV. That's a good coil. And let's do this one real quick. And pull that through. And there you go. You got a 50 on this one as well. So okay. Okay, guys. Well, I got my spark plugs back. So anyway, you could guys see the how to do a basically stress test on each coil. Of course, you can do this with a simple test light, just to connect your test light to battery to the ground, and don't connect to the battery, just to any engine block or whatever. So ground your test light, and you know, start the car, and you know, put the test light closer to your coil and see how far the spark's gonna jump, and just to go from one coil to another, and that's basically what you can do. But it was actually nice to see on Advantage as well, you know, what is the maximum output of each coil. Now, if you have a coil that has a lower output, where basically the spark, I kept saying spark doesn't jump as far. Now, before you condemn bad coil, we need to make sure that our circuitry is okay, that our power and grounds are okay on that particular coil, on that particular circuit. So that's just something else to kind of keep in mind. And so anyway, now I'm gonna start the car. We're gonna do the same thing as we did last time. I'm gonna pull my relay from my fuel pump. I'm gonna rev the engine until it dies, and then we'll see the capture on our screen and on our lab scope. And then also we're gonna do a reach mixture as well. I'm going to add some propane. I don't have a lot of propane left from the last time. I think it'll be fine, but I'm a little low on the propane. But that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to focus you back on the computer. Hopefully this camera is going to be better than last time. It's focusing right now. It's okay. I think it's better. All right, let me get it started. And, So I got my relay out. That should be plenty. Oh god, that's the end. Okay. Well, that was actually pretty nice. Now we can see on the primary and secondary, we can see these huge spikes where, you know, through because of the lean mixture. And I'm just gonna go. It's very nice. This is gone completely. There you go. Pretty much mirror each other, primary and secondary, on the so key with a lean mixture is doing at rev the engine up, and look at that. This is very nice because you will not see this at the idle. Okay. Let's keep going. So that's it. I really like it. It's very nice capture here. Okay, so let's. This is very nice too. Okay. Wow, look at that. Wow. Actually, Pico is pretty nice. I like it. Wow, look at this spark. Wow. Sweet. Okay. So let's do this the same. I'm gonna make the. I'm gonna start adding the propane and see what this one's gonna look like. Okay, I'm going to pull the intake hose. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the fuel. Now, when I was reading about this, it said that on the rich condition you're going to see some more noise in the firing line, due to a droplets of fuel and things like that, and this firing line should kind of go downwards a little bit. That's indication of the rich condition. So let's just add some propane and see. I'm going to add actually quicker this time. You can see that we do see now that we lost. There you go. It's kind of cool. We lost the signal all the way. Come on, it's my attenuator. Oh, stupid thing. Well, hold on a second. I have to. I think I'm almost out of propane, but this my attenuator is messed up again. It's just really, I'm going to change my to channel B so I can get something on it. But it's come on now. Oh, I know this. Okay, never mind. So I was trying to get my my trigger up, but actually I'm triggering. I forgot. I'm actually triggering from my from my channel right there, so that's okay. You can still see it. But I'm really having I lost my primary for some reason. It's my attenuator. There you go. It's back again. I don't know. Okay, let's try. See, so I think what we did see that that oscillation at the very end of the firing line, we're a little lower with the fuel mixture. So let's see if I have any more propane left. There you go. Right there we've seen a little bit. Right there too. Okay. I don't have much propane, but there's the little clue here. Let me go back a little bit. It should be so this firing line, this spike here was a little lower. There's that what it said downwards. That is the confusing part. Also, we can see where secondary actually does not have the downward line as the primary has. So I mean, rich condition, it's not easy to find as the, it's not as obvious as a lean. So we can see a little bit downward on the primary, but now on the secondary, it will be very difficult to. I don't know. I'm not really good at the. I'm going to add some more propane again, and I'm going to rev the engine and see if we can get some kind of conclusion. But again, this one is tough. I mean, at rich condition, it's not easy to. Okay, I'm going to open up again. The engine's tumbling. Let me just come on. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, I'm just going to shut the car off and okay, alright, I think my siblings suffered enough. Okay, so that's actually pretty cool. I mean, we see a lot of oscillation in a firing line here from the rich condition. Notice, so I guess one of the things we can look also, this would be, you know, between the rich and lean. On the lean condition, we could see the spikes were a lot higher than on the I've seen one actually, a very nice one. This one is actually pretty cool, and this is a lot of turbulence in a cylinder, which is normal when you rev the engine, but there's a lot of, see that upward here. Okay, I'm going to do one more time with but this again, I mean, this the rich condition to me, it's not that easy. This is a good one too. You got just a lot of up, you know, a lot of spikes seems like, you know, actually secondary actually picks up better than the primary this time. This one is good. But now this can be confusing with the lean condition as well. So I don't know. I'm not. But even though that primary was spiking up with the lean condition a lot more. Okay. It's a lot of up and down. You know, from almost, I would say, like from the zero line and on the secondary. Wow, look at this one. Wow. Now again, I mean, we could mistaken this with lean condition for sure. And so this is what I really suck at it. I mean, it drives me crazy. How to get the you know, how to read these ignition forms. Okay, this one's nice too. Now we can actually see the more in a primary as well. Actually, I like the Pico. Thank you guys for suggesting this. This is actually, Pico has a lot better. This one's nice. So let's just go back and okay, that's the end of it. Okay, let's just go back and I'm gonna put everything back together that it was supposed to be, and I'm gonna just to rev the engine up with a normal spark plug and everything, so we can kind of see now, you know, what normal should look like. And I'm afraid this is going to be another hour-long video. I was trying to make it shorter, but it's just not possible. but you guys can see that this little picoscope, Dimitri called this a baby picoscope. It actually works pretty good. I mean, you know. Okay, and let me get it started and. Okay, I'm just going to rev it up again. Got a change. Never mind. This is actually a lean condition because my hose, I've seen also, why am I having such a huge spikes? That's the lean because I had my hose, my vacuum hose. Let me go back. I think it's fine. My vacuum hose was unplugged from my intake. My intake manifold, and it was okay. Let's see if we can. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go back and see what normal looks like. We revved it up. So we still see that these are turbulence in a cylinder, which is normal. But now look at this. I think because I moved my trigger, I've lost my firing kV. That's okay. But this is weird too. Wow, look at that. That's normal. It's not under. That's a good one. That's good. Well, we can. This sounds like a lean mixture here. This one too. Again, I mean it's. I think I made a mistake when I moved my trigger from secondary to primary. I think it's, but it's okay. We guys can see what. Look at that. Almost now we got more questions than answers. You know, I mean, what's normal? Especially with under, you know, when we rev the engine. I mean, all these. There's a lot of, you know, turbulence in the cylinder. So these signals are just. I mean, we could definitely recognize the lean condition now, but I don't know, maybe I guess maybe I don't know. Alright, well that's that will be it for this time. I think I we'll see something, I guess. Alright guys, well I did the best I could. Again, I'm not good at this. This is what drives me crazy. I'm trying to learn you know, to use this for diagnostic, and there's absolutely, you know, so much that we can see from these waveforms, but it's tough. I mean, it really is. I mean, it just takes a lot of time to be good at it. But again, we were able to see some, and I'm very glad you guys suggested to use a Pico this time, and we can see that now we can use our baby Pico for ignition testing as well. So but we could see, and I'm also glad that we did. Tom, I thank you so much for your question about the current. Now we could see, you know, the current versus the demand versus a dwell time. So or unwanted resistance. Higher versus low resistance in a circuit as well. So that was kind of cool. I mean, that now it wasn't complete waste of time, I would say. So we did learn something a little bit, I guess. Anyway, but again, I mean, really to read all these firing honestly, that's why I like a Vantage, the graphing multimeter better, because I just suck with this firing line. You know, it's just there's burn time. I mean, there's so much in this little millisecond or 2 milliseconds we can learn from, but I just can't see all that stuff. I see something and then I think, okay, this is supposed to be look like the lean condition. Then next thing I see that it's back again with a normal cylinder. So I don't know, but with my graphing multimeter, you know, I told you guys last time as well, and I actually did diagnose one my neighbor car, and actually I'm going to leave the link of that car and on that video as well in the description, where he took the car to a dealership. They put the spark plugs in the wires. Probably somebody dropped the spark plug, and it was misfiring on the way home. And I used my graphing multimeter with what's called spark KV, basically the voltage needed to start the burn on the spark plug. And if that's the high over like 4 kV, then you know it's outside of the combustion chamber. So that led me to it was a bad spark plug. But you know, that's why I kind of like graphing multimeter, just to see the, or like a firing KV, where basically that's the demand for each cylinder. If I see the firing KV lower or higher, that can give me a clue where if I have a low or high resistance in the circuit. But looking at the whole ignition waveform, there's a whole lot of in there that can be, you know, just I'm still nowhere near where I need to be able to be good at it. And also, when you add all the problems we have to get the signal in the first place, to get the good waveform in the first place, you know, gets really tough. I mean, I was really, before I start the video, I probably spent a good 30 minutes with the Picoscope, you know, trying to find which probe is going to give me the best secondary ignition waveform. The primary was easy, but as we know now, the primaries are not as easy to get anymore, because many coils are having 3 or 4 wires, where we're just gonna the control wire is just a simple signal now from the computer to a driver inside a coil, to tell the driver inside a coil when to fire the coil. And you know, it's back probing the signal wire. We will not get our primary ignition waveform. So it's tough, but okay, I'm afraid it's going to be another over an hour, sure. But I think this one is a little bit better than the first one, especially because of the Picoscope. But alright guys, I really appreciate you guys a lot, and I'm actually getting close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm around 800 now, so it's getting close to 1,000. I'm really excited about that. So alright guys, thank you so much, and see you next time.